Hey YouTube, welcome to my new video series. We're going to be focusing on programming. This is for the absolute beginner, someone who has never touched programming in their life, has no idea where to start, how to start. So if you have some experience, probably not a good video series for you. It's going to be extremely boring. However, if you don't have any experience, this is something you want to learn in your free time. I think you're really going to enjoy the videos posted on this channel. So mainly we're going to be using a programming language called C++. It's what I learned on. I think it's a great first language and I think you will enjoy it. The nice thing about C++ is it's still widely used in the industry today. It's heavily used in game development, so I think that's pretty cool. So what do we need to actually get started writing code? Well, think of it as like this. If you want to write an essay for school or for whatever, what do you need to write the essay? Well, we need a word processing program. So a popular example would be Microsoft Word. Now, Microsoft Word doesn't write the essay for you. You write the essay. You use the language, whether it's English, French, or whatever. You use that language that you know how to speak and you know the rules of that language. You write it, but Microsoft Word allows you to kind of keep it formatted. It keeps it organized. It allows you to write what you know. Now, the same applies to programming language. Is the language is something that is separate in that has its own set of rules that you need to learn. But in order to, assuming that we know how to write the language, we still need a tool, we need a program that's going to allow us to write the program in, just like Microsoft Word. So what we're going to be using to write our program is Eclipse. Now, what these programs are called, they're called IDEs, Integrated Development Environments. So we can think of Eclipse as our Microsoft Word. And the language that we're going to be using is C++. The second thing we're going to need to write our program is a thing called a compiler. The compiler is going to go with Eclipse to kind of make sense of what we're doing. And that's all you need to know about a compiler. They're pretty, they can get complicated. Eclipse can get complicated, but that's not what we're focusing on. So just focus on that we need two things. Actually, we need three things to write a program. First and foremost, the most important thing is we need a programming language. We have that. We're going to use C++. Second, we need something to write the language in, an IDE, and we're going to be using Eclipse. And third, we need a compiler, and for that, we're going to use a compiler called MinGW. Now, in the description of this video, I'm going to have links to everything you need, and along with those links, I will have other tutorials that other people have made that I think are really good, and they'll show you how to install Eclipse, how to install the compiler, and kind of how to get you up and running. It shouldn't take long to install these. It should take you no longer than like 5-10 minutes to have everything installed and up and ready to go. So the first thing you're going to do is when you have everything installed and you want to start writing a program, you need to open up Eclipse just like you would Microsoft Word. And if you look on my screen, you're going to see this is what you're going to be first presented with when you open up Eclipse. And all this is, it's just where you're going to save your work. If you're going to save an essay, you hit Save As in Microsoft Word. Where do you want to save it? And we call them workspaces. So this is where I've chose to have my stuff saved. You can just do the default, or if you have multiple drives, you can save it wherever you want. So I'm happy with this, and I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to load the program. Okay, so once it's done loading, you're going to be presented with a window that's either identical to this or it's going to look very similar. So let's not really focus on kind of what these, this toolbar is. I want this video to be short, I want it to be fun, and I want it to just kind of get right to the point. So if you remember, one of the 3 things that we need, the first one is a programming language. So we're going to do C++, not C, because there's a difference between C and C++. 2 different languages. So let's go ahead and create a new C++ project. And then you're going to be presented with this, window, and we're just going to name our program or our project, and I'll call it Clayton as my name. Just like that. You can choose whatever you want. And then it shows you where the default location is, if you remember where we decided it. If you want to change it, you can just select it, but I like it where it's going to go. Okay, next we're going to come down to the project type window, and by default it's going to have an empty project highlighted. What we're going to do is we're going to do Hello World C++ project. Nice thing about doing this is it's going to kind of preload a lot of the necessary things that we need. So it's going to be less we have to cover in this video, and it's going to get us right into programming. Now we're going to go over to toolchains, and these are your compilers. Now assuming you have MinGW installed correctly, it should pop up right here. So we're going to make sure we have that selected, make sure we have Hello World selected, and we're going to hit finish. And it's going to load. In the bottom right corner you can see it's going to kind of load all our settings and start building our project. And then it's probably just going to go empty and nothing's going to happen, and you're going to be like, well, what the hell's going on? All you have to do is just close out this window in the top left by welcome, and there we go. There's our program. Ignore this. I'm going to actually delete this. This is from another project that I was doing. So this is what you're going to be presented with on this left hand side. And if you want to make, since it's a lot of empty space, go ahead and just drag this and we can make that a little bit smaller so we have more room over here. So right here, this folder, Clayton, that's where everything is stored. It's just like a normal file. If you're going to right click on your desktop and hit new file, well, you can put tons of Word documents in that file. You can put PowerPoints in that file. That's all this really is. It just houses the files that are needed to make our program. So we can go ahead and expand it. Let's not focus on what this is. That's going to be another video. But src, this is where our source file is stored. Now, the source file is very important. It's where we are going to do all our work. It's where we're going to write our code. And if you click the arrow down again, well, here's our program. So this, what's highlighted right here, is this. This is where we are going to write our program. So if you notice in the very top, you have this little plus symbol. So we can expand that, and you notice all this is green. What these are notes. Now, notes are very important when writing code because let's say you write a program and you don't document what it does, and someone else goes to maybe run your program or wants to add to your program. It's going to be really hard for them to kind of see what you're doing, and notes make it a lot easier for someone to understand your code. But if you're just doing this for yourself, you're not gonna, you don't want to have a career in this. I guess you don't have to focus on it. I think you should because it just helps. So let's go over how to write a note. There's 2 different ways to write a note. I'm going to click right here and I'm going to hit enter a few times so I can kind of have my own space. And the simplest way is to do 2 forward slashes. And you'll see it highlights it green. Now green, they're notes. The program, you can have as many notes as you want in a program, and you just have to make sure you tell Eclipse that, hey, I'm writing a note. That way it's not going to try to read it or do anything with it. So I can do this, I can just check this is a note. So that's a very common way, and you can just keep going down and make a whole bunch of notes if you want. Or if you want to write a lot of notes, you can go ahead and do 1 forward slash and 1 asterisk. And then you can, so see, the nice thing about this, if you're going to write a lot of notes, is it has an opening, and this is the end of the note. So I can write like, this is a note, and if I just hit like enter or return like you would in Microsoft Word, I can keep writing notes, and then when I'm done I just click out of it. So go ahead and take a minute to kind of practice that. I know it seems simple, but just get familiar with it. We're gonna go slow. I want these to be very easy tutorials, and writing notes and documenting it, a lot of people think it's not that important, but it is, and it's something that you should feel comfortable doing. Okay, so let's move on down to, I'm gonna actually delete all these because I think you get the point. Let's move down to my line 14. Include IO stream. Well, let's not focus on that, and we're not going to focus on this either in this video. What we want to focus on is this right here. This is where the magic happens. So here is where we are actually going to be writing our program. So what I'm going to do, so we can see it, you see we have a bracket right here, and we have a bracket right here. Well, inside these brackets is where we are going to write all our code. So I'm going to hit enter a few times so we can kind of give ourselves some space. I'm going to click after return, hit enter, so it's a little bit easier to read. So int main, this is where the main code is going to go. You can kind of see. So inside these brackets we have some words, and we can actually go over to the notes that came with the program, and it prints hello world. Prints means it outputs something to the screen, and what it outputs is it just says hello world. And we can see that these is this right here, right? We can see that, and we also notice that it's inside 2 parentheses or 2 quotes, right? Those quotes are really important. So let's go ahead, and what I want you to do is I want you to delete this. And we're going to just do our own. So let's go ahead and let's focus on how are we going to output our name. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to use a thing called console output. And how we write that is C out, just like that. And the next thing that we need is 2 arrows facing the console out. Now we're going to hit space again, and now here's the really important part. Let's say we want to output our name. We can't write our name, because if we write our name, which my name is Clayton, that's not valid, because you're not telling the computer. You're telling the computer that Clayton it's something. It could be assigned to something, right? Clayton could be a variable that holds something, and that's not true. Clayton is just my name. So if we want to output text to a screen, we need to put it in quotes. So we're going to do double quotes, just like that. Then it'll probably automatically do 2 of them, and it'll have your your cursor in the middle. So let's go ahead and write my name, or your name, or whatever the hell you want. Just like that. And it should be blue, because blue is going to be our text that we're going to output. And if I kind of confused you with the variables just a minute ago, don't worry, that's going to be cleared up very soon. So when we're done writing our statement, we need to end the sentence with a semicolon. Don't forget it, because you might have a problem with your program and you're like, why is it not working? Most times it's because you probably forgot to put a semicolon at the end. Okay, so we have our program. I'm happy with it. So let's go ahead and let's run it. But before we run it, we need to actually build the program. So So how we build the program is, you see this little hammer, just click it once, and it'll say building project, and now we're good. And then once we've done that, we're going to go over to this green arrow, we're going to hit run. And I'm going to hit OK. And at the bottom, you see the console. This is where it outputs our information. And you can see it says Clayton. And there you go. You just wrote your first program. Doesn't do much, but it's a program nonetheless. So let's say we want to write a sentence. Okay. So let's go ahead and delete everything, because we want repetition. We want to keep writing it over and over again so we don't forget it. So let's go ahead and write a sentence, but I want to do it differently. So I'm going to start out just like I would if I was going to do my name, the C out, 2 arrows. I'm going to set my quotes, and I'm going to say this is a program, but instead of writing it all in one line, I'm going to use multiple lines, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and then we're going to end it right there. So that's it. And then we're going to hit enter, and we're going to do it over again. C out, this, do is, don't forget to end the program with a semicolon. Do it again. So just repetition. This is how we learn. A program. And now, so keep in mind that, well, actually, you'll see in a bit. So let's go ahead and build it. Get in the habit of just building it after you change something. Run it again. Actually, I'm going to select that so it stops asking me. So what do you notice? You notice that this does not look at all like that. They're all on the same line. Even though we hit enter, well, it's not like Microsoft Word. If you hit enter or return to Microsoft Word, it's going to create a new line. Eclipse doesn't work like that. So we can hit, watch, I can hit this as many times. We can build it again. It doesn't matter. It doesn't understand what you're trying to do. So let's go ahead and delete this. So let's say we want to make this look like that. Well, we need to tell the computer that we want to start a new line. So how we do that, we use a word called endl. So we need to delete our semicolon. We need to add more arrows, space, end line is what it stands for. And don't forget, we need to close it off with another semicolon. Now let's go ahead and build it, and let's see how this is going to look. See? But you notice this is still, mushed together. So if you guessed it, we need to add multiple ones. So let's go ahead and do that. So remember, we're going to copy what we did up top. Do our arrows. End line. Oops. Just like that. We're going to come down to our next line. And there we go. Let's go ahead and build it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go make this a little bit easier to read. I'm kind of anal when I write code, so just bear with me. I like things to be really neat. So let's go ahead and build it again. And let's run it. There we go. So hopefully that kind of makes sense on why we need to do that. The program, Eclipse, doesn't know when you're trying to end the line. You actually have to tell it. So that's what we did right here. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to focus on in this video are variables. and we're going to view integer variables, which I think are very easy, and they'll kind of clear up a lot of, you'll be able to do a lot with them on your own. So let's go ahead and delete our program, and let's say we want the computer to perform math, right? I mean, that's kind of an important thing, but you can't just hit 4 plus 4, you know, it's not a calculator. We need to actually, we're going to tell it how to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a variable, and think of this variable as a box. In this box, it stores stuff that can only store one thing at a time. So if we're going to perform math, we're going to use integers, right? We're going to use numbers. So you're going to type int, and we're going to name this variable number1, and then we can close it off. Okay, so right now number1, it's not equal to anything. It's just, think of number1 is the box, and int is telling you what type of box it is, okay? But we don't have anything in our box. We have to actually put something in our box. So let's say we want to do math. We want to do 4 plus 4, okay? Well, if we notice, we have two numbers, 4 and another 4. So we're going to need two integers, and we're going to need two variables. So let's make another one. Let's do int number. We'll just call this number2. Okay, so we have two empty boxes, and we know what type of boxes they're going to be. So let's put stuff in these boxes. So we're going to assign a number to our boxes. And how we do this is we're going to do number1, which is our variable, just like that. And we're going to hit space, is equal, we're assigning it a value, 4, and close it off with a semicolon, just like that. And we're going to do the same for number2. Equals 4, semicolon. So we just put, each box has something inside of it. Each box has a 4. So now let's actually perform arithmetic. Let's perform the math. Okay. So there's two ways we can do this. So we're going to do the easy and straightforward method. So we're going to hit C. Actually, I'm sorry. We're actually going to have three numbers, right? We have 4, 4, and then we're going to have an output. We're going to have, we're going to combine two boxes, and we're going to get something out of that. So we need a sum, right? We need, what are these numbers when we combine them? What are they going to equal? So we can do int sum, which are going to be the sum of the two numbers. And right now sum is, it's not equal to anything. So how can we write this statement? Well, we want to see what the result's going to be. So we wanted to output onto our console, our screen. So with that in mind, let's start with that. We're going to start with cout, just like that. So instead of just writing 4 plus 4, which you could, but we're going to, we want to get the foundation built. So we're going to do number1, which we know is equal to 4. Number1 plus, actually, I'm sorry. We're going to do a different way. We're going to do, sorry if it's getting confusing. I think I need more coffee this morning. We're going to assign what sum equals. And I think this is going to be a very easy way of doing it. So we're going to hit, just like if you remember we assigned stuff to these numbers, we put stuff in the box. Well, this box is still empty, but we want to find out, we want to assign the result of adding these two numbers to this box, okay? So let's keep that in mind. So let's assign, let's do sum is equal to number 1 plus number 2. So kind of just take a minute and focus on what we're doing. So before we run this program, we made 3 boxes, or 3 variables. We gave the first 2 boxes, we gave them a value of 4. And then the third box, we said number 1 plus number 2 is going to equal box number 3. It's going to go into box number 3. So very basic math. And then if we want to see the answer, we can go ahead and output that answer to our console by simply doing cout and sum. So we can actually output the variable. So we can output a lot of stuff to our console. We can output not just names and text, but numbers and math and so forth. So let's go ahead and build this program. It says nothing. We're going to run it, and it should say 8. And there we go, right there. And you can change this to anything. So a quick example, let's change this to 5, and let's change this to multiplication, and we can go ahead and run it, and there we go. And that's kind of like your gist of the program. So keep in mind, you can do minus, you can do division, you can change your integers, you can perform arithmetic operations, any way you want, as long as you follow the rules of the language. So that's about going to wrap up this first video. Hopefully you kind of get it. I think you should be able to output sentences, you should be able to in lines, and you should be able to perform very basic math, and then also output that the sum of your math problem. So thank you for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe, and also if you are interested in electronics or always wanted to get introduced into building circuits, go to my channel and watch those videos. It's completely free. The software is free. It doesn't cost you anything to get started. So until next time, guys.